Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Watching Mental Health, your place for all things mental health. On this show, we break down the stories, the research, and the stigmas. And we discuss treatment and recovery with providers, professionals, loved ones, and those with lived experience. It's time to talk openly about mental health, mental wellness, and mental illness. Join the movement and join us live every first and third Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Watching Mental Health. I'm so glad to have you here today. And today is a very exciting episode because I'm going to be speaking to a guest who I don't know very well, but who I follow his work. And I think that what he is doing is really amazing. And so I'm going to learn just along with you all about this really amazing guest. And his name is Jeff Johnston. He is the CEO of the startup Brightn, and the founder of the Living Undeterred Project. He's also the host of the Living Undeterred Podcast. So excited to talk more about that. And he's joining us today to talk more about his inspiring journey from struggling with alcoholism and compulsive gambling to becoming a mental health advocate and an author. And it is a true testament to the power of resilience and determination. And on this episode, we are going to talk about that journey and how he was able to overcome and what it takes to change the narrative on mental health, substance use, and addiction. And that's something that we really deal with a lot here in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. So I think this is perfect timing. So without further ado, I'd love to bring on Jeff to the show.
Hi, Katie. I'm honored to be here. This will be an engaging conversation. I have a good feeling about this tonight.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is really exciting to have you here. Like I said, I don't know you very well, but I have been following your work and just excited to learn more about you. So with that, tell us in your own words, who you are and what you do and why mental health is so important to you.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'll give you a good backdrop here to build some context as we move into this, because what I'd like to do is really make this less about me and more about we. And I've done these before where I consumed myself in telling my story, because vulnerability can be an addiction as well. Sure. And I realized that I need to be more aware of the environment and be attentive to questions people have and maybe roads we can go down that are more inspirational and less chaotic and tragic. So, however, as I say when I keynote, I have to sometimes go into the abyss to get out of it. So yeah, let's just start with, where this all started. So my name is Jeff Johnston. Again, I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And my whole life, I aspired to be a successful financial planner. That was kind of like what I wanted to be after I graduated college. Okay. So from 23 to 50, I built this thriving practice in the Midwest here. Had 9 full-time staff, 7 advisors in our firm. We managed $800 million. I mean, good numbers for our industry. Mm-hmm. And from the perception of the public, I had kind of made it. I had the beautiful wife. Her name's Prudence, 3 boys, Seth, Ian, and Roman. Big house, fancy car, blah, 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 blah. As you're going to find out, it was complete illusion. But I didn't know that at the time. I really thought that was my dream. That was my purpose in life, was to invest money for people, make a lot of money and be a capitalist. Well, on that day, October 4th, 2016. So we're inching up on 8 years now. I got that call every parent dreads, where our oldest son was found dead in a hotel room from a fentanyl poisoning. And it was the end of a horrific, hellish, nightmarish, I don't want to even say journey, but experience. Seth was given Adderall at 15 for attention deficit. And it just went from alcohol, vaping, marijuana, drunk driving, breaking and entering, cocaine, prison, heroin, death. Yeah. So that's the first time death came into my life and, knocked on the door and said, hey, you know what? I'm taking somebody you care about. You don't have as much control in your life as you think you do. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. And in hindsight, so we all have the benefit of hindsight. So right now I understand that was the message from death. And, but at the time I didn't realize that. I was angry. I was, devastated. And I made a choice early on, and this was another illusion that was painted in my life, is that I told people I was going to be this strong guy, this dad, this husband. And so I started writing a book to honor Seth, and I did a podcast called Living Undeterred, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And just kind of immersed myself in passion and advocacy for my own therapy, But the reality was, behind the scenes, I was just falling apart. I told my business partner I needed to stay home for about a year, work on my mental health, and all I did was drink for 14 months. And what your listeners and followers don't know is I was an alcoholic for 32 years prior to Seth's death, a compulsive gambler for 20 years. So there's the illusion that I referred to, that there was this illusion that I had it, had it made. And really I hadn't made anything except a miserable life. And Seth's death really catapulted me into this amazing, or transcended me is a better word, to where I'm at today. And so I quit drinking. For 14 months after Seth died, I drank like every day. And finally, December 24th of 17, I decided to quit, and I haven't had a drop since. And it's been the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm not going to lie. You bury a child, if you can't find some inspiration from that, then I don't know what you're doing. And that's not being judgmental with grief, but it's like, that was how I looked at it.
Right.
And didn't work out so well. On June 29th, 2021, the day after our youngest son turned 18, my wife died from alcoholism. She was 46. We were married 21 years. So they're both right over my shoulder. So death came again. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to take half your family now. What are you going to do about it? And it really allowed me to reframe my life into more of becoming a victor versus a victim. And I presented the narrative to my boys. I said, boys, you have one of two roads to go down. This is when Seth died. This is before their mom died. I said, you have one road of anger, despair, and hatred, and you'll become an alcoholic and an addict yourself. Or you have a road of inspiration and motivation, and this can be the single greatest moment in our lives to make a difference in the lives of others. I'm on the second road. I ask you to join me. So that's how I presented it, as an opportunity. But, deep down, I was crumbling and falling apart. And there's there's a lot more sidebars to this story, but that sent the template of where I'm at today. So, I believe I died on that day Seth died, and I was reborn. And I died again when my wife died, and I was reborn. So now I'm 58, and I'm arguably at the best place I've ever been in my life. I cry with gratitude and not pain and suffering. I cry every day. I don't fight it anymore. So I guess the story in this for people is, that's my story. You have a story. I'm sure if we talk long enough, you would tell me personal things, and I would have empathy for you and try to help you through it. And I think that's the beauty of what you're doing and what we're doing and what everybody is doing as advocates, is that we're not going to get out of this alone. We need each other.
Right.
And things like COVID really isolated us, especially youth today. And that's where my passion really is, youth. So that's about a 8-9 minute backdrop of where I'm at today. So
yeah, that's wow. It's quite a story. And I think a lot of people, can relate to these addiction problems within our families and with our loved ones. And it's interesting because, after your son died, it seemed like you and your wife both kind of had a choice. And, after that grief period, you were able to, I think, choose to stop drinking, right? And choose to move forward. And she wasn't able to do that. And so why do you think that is? Do you think that had she, I know that hindsight is 2020 and you can't change anything, but it's just interesting. You were both given the same kind of exact predicament, and one of you was able to claw your way out, however messy that was, because it is always messy. Recovery is always messy, and the other one wasn't.
It's a great question. I guess I'll never know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I hesitate even talking about her because she's obviously not here to talk about
Yeah.
herself. But at the same time, they die when I stop talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll never stop talking about them. So,
Yeah.
but I got to do it in a way that's inspirational and motivational. And,
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell these stories to get sympathy and pity. That's like, that ship has sank. I burned that bridge. I
Sure.
want love, hope, inspiration, courage, empathy. That's what we feed off of. And
Yeah.
so I can only say Prudence had a difficult childhood. I found this out after she died. I found a diary that she had, which I didn't know about. And, she was gone. So I didn't feel bad reading it.
Yeah.
Everyone can form their own assessments on that. But I think when you have a loved one you care about that dies and you find, journals and diaries they wrote, I think it's pretty normal that we'd want to read it,
Yeah.
the days of
Definitely.
judging and all that stuff. And so there was some things that she had written in her childhood that happened that I wasn't aware of. And so I think there was a lot of unresolved trauma in her life and
Mm.
some, what we considered today youth mental health issues. I think,
Okay.
you know,
So that's
um,
interesting.
yeah.
It seems like trauma and addiction do play a role
hmm
hand in hand. But then also that addiction tends to run in families as well.
hmm Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably not your typical like recovery advocate, although that's all I do. And that's the
Mhm.
lane I'm in. And I want to help kids. But, I'm not even a big fan of words like addiction and recovery and sobriety.
Mhm.
And, you're always free to tell yourself any story you want to tell yourself, any narrative that's out there. You're not obligated to stick to it. So I don't subscribe to a lot of that. I think it's an evolution of self. I
Yeah.
think it's a gift I have that somehow I either learned from mentors of mine growing up or I inherited from my family, but where I have this unique ability to reframe situations in my life as opportunistic and not curses and penalties and things like that. So, even something like death, there's power behind death. I have a reverence, a respect towards death. I don't fear death at all.
Mm.
Um, and I've come close. The Christmas my wife died, my mom died 4 months later, and then my wife died. And that Christmas, I don't know how far I can go on the show, but I had a gun to my head all weekend and I got to within 3 seconds, multiple times. And had I been drinking or using drugs, I wouldn't be here today.
Sure.
So the fact I was sober, I was in an epic battle with
Mm.
death that weekend in my house by myself. And I won, this time. Um,
Yeah.
Death will win eventually, but I'm not going to go down without a fight.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a better human being today than before all this happened.
Right.
And I work really hard. Before I came on the show, I got done with a 2-hour run on my elliptical and lifted some light weights. I don't eat anything bad. I don't drink. I don't watch
Mhm.
TV. I have
Mhm.
like 10 non-negotiables, I call them, that get in the way of a lot of things in my personal life that I don't budge.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been widowed 3 years. I haven't been on a date. People have tried to set me up, and when I talk to people, I tell them right up front, I'm not really open to that right now. I don't like being
Yeah.
alone. No one likes
Mhm.
to be alone, you know.
Yeah.
But I have certain non-negotiables, and no one I've talked to is willing to understand that. So I just keep moving on, and there's more people I'm meeting that enrich my life, and I like to think that I'm actually enriching their lives as well. So it's like
Yeah.
we mutually benefit from these relationships,
Mhm.
and we're all struggling with something, but I don't even like the word struggle. It's just kind of negative. It's like,
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm not that smart.
Mm.
I had a finance degree, so like I'm pretty good with like not that type of stuff, but I practiced stoicism most of my life. And I don't know if you're familiar with Stoic philosophy, but the ability to reframe.
Yeah.
And I think it would help the recovery community a lot. And, even like with our app, we don't use mental health. We say mental wellness.
Yeah.
We don't have users of my app. We have thrivers.
Yeah.
I hate that word user. My son was a drug user or used drugs. My wife used prescription
Sure.
pills and alcohol. It's like, why would I call a young adult on my app that's benefiting their emotional well-being, they're flourishing as a human. Why would I call them a user? What the hell are they using? It's like, so it's like, I'm trying to be that disruptor in a way that I'm trying to change how we approach mental wellness, not as an illness. And our Western society so apt to pathologize every normal human emotion.
Right.
And we stick a label on them.
Right.
Autism, bipolar, manic depressive. I don't allow people in my bubble, in my immediate bubble, to use the word depression, because I think depression is just sadness.
Yeah.
But you can't file a claim on an insurance form writing sadness. You have to put depression so you can get your insurance coverage to pay for your prescriptions. And it's like, there's a game going on here that I'm not happy with. And I've lost half my family to this stuff and almost lost myself. And I just got this like inner fire in me that I got to keep going and keep building and keep being creative and but do it in a way that we're empowering lives, not scaring lives. And if you think about young adults, even adults for that matter, Katie, what are the two ways you change behavior? Through fear or inspiration?
Sure.
Emotion. So don't do drugs, you'll die. Where's the love in that? There's no uplifting message in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why prohibition didn't work. And that's why the war on drugs has been a colossal failure. And, like I said, I don't have a lot of background in this. I got thrust into this kind of, not because I was interested in this industry, but I guess my value add, and even to your show, is just to bring a little bit different, fresh perspective to this. And it doesn't have to be gloomy and an ending and sad. And it's just, it can be from the ashes, good things can rise,
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I appreciate that you bring a different perspective. And I think because your background isn't in mental health, it is, important to hear that perspective. And I love what you have to say about words. I mean, words are powerful, and how we say things is powerful. How we frame things is powerful. And it seems like your superpower is that ability to reframe. And so to reframe my question from earlier, how were you able to claw your way out? Grief, I know from people, especially who lose children, I've heard it doesn't ever go away. So
I don't
what
know
are
why.
some
I don't know why you'd want it to go away.
exactly.
That's the thing. I don't want it to go away.
So what are some tips that you would have, or some ideas or thoughts that you would have around, reframing hard times, reframing these challenges that life throws at us?
The best tip I could give anybody that's been given an opportunity to become better through something like death, divorce, bankruptcy, whatever, is to take care of yourself first. A1, first things first. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. And I don't mean self-care. That sounds so, narcissistic, but I mean, if I want to be a good dad to my other two boys, Roman and Ian, be a good neighbor, and a good just friend, I can't do it being drunk or high or, 100 pounds overweight. For me, all these things held me back from living the optimal life that I really deserve to have. And death is just another one of these things that, is an obstacle to try to have a really good life. So I think reframing is a superpower. I really do. And I think as I've gotten older now, I've looked back at things in my life, and I can't subscribe where I got this from, but I have this unique ability that maybe I'm just naive. And that's a strength, I guess,
I think it's the ability to reframe is a very powerful strength, and I don't think it's naivety. I don't know what it is, but I think it's it's important to be able to put perspective on things. And I think that when we are lost in our despair, and when we have really challenging times in life, it could be hard to see that perspective. And so it's beautiful that you're able to see it. But I like that you also, aren't sitting here saying that, hey, you saw this instantly. No, you did go through these challenges.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did have suicidal moments. You did spend 14 months drinking,
Yeah.
and you were able to walk out the other side. And that in itself is inspiring.
I get asked a lot, Katie, by
Mhm.
parents after I speak or they hear me. And main question is, did you see signs, were there warning signs? Because I think they want to
Yeah.
see if there's anything with their kids and stuff. And I
Yeah.
also, then the second question I get asked a lot as well, do you mind telling me what your coping mechanisms are? Like what do you do every day to stay in this like zone,
Right.
this zone
Exactly.
that you're in? And here's
Yeah.
what I do. And this is like 5 days a week.
Okay.
I'm up by 4:30 every morning. And I like last night I was in bed by 9. I sleep really good. My dog is older. He's a little bit incontinent. So he barks. I have to get up at 1:00 and let him out. Or let's just say this. I'm honored to get up and let him
Mhm.
out at 1:00 in the morning. I don't have to get up. That sounds terrible. I love my old dog. I take him out and my brain's going. So I really can't fall. So I don't get like 8 hours of great sleep, but I do get 8 hours. So I
Yeah.
get up at 4:30. I meditate 30 minutes to 45 minutes every morning, typically in the dark on my deck with my headphones on. It's guided meditation. And I do typically like 20 minutes. And then if I'm really in a zone, I'll just do another 20 minutes. But I typically like to do about 30 to 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And then from there, depending on how my body feels, because I am 58. So like this morning, my back was really, really sore. Like I could barely walk. So I decided to skip working out. But normally I would work out right in the morning.
Mm.
And then I go into reading. So I have books I read and stuff. And I've got like, with attention deficit, I have like 4 books I read at one time because I just get bored real quick and I go to a new book and I go, well, I want to go back to that one. And so I've never read a book start to finish ever. It's like I read 4 or 5 books simultaneously.
Uh-huh.
And then I write. I love writing. I'll just write. Sometimes I just
Mhm.
write not to be read or be seen. I just write because it's like my therapy. And
Yeah, me too.
so yeah, I write. I've got some really cool things I'm working on right now. And then like about, I don't know, 7 or 8, I'll go look at my emails for the first time. So I've been up
Mhm.
like 3 or 4 hours and I don't try to get on social media till about 4:00 in the afternoon
Yeah, for
at all.
sure.
I don't watch any TV. I didn't watch the debates. I have no interest in any of that stuff at all. Anything
Mhm.
that increases my anxiety level for any reason, I'm just not, I choose not to participate. Now I
Yeah.
follow people that kind of report that I really respect. And they'll
Right.
give me summaries of the debate and they'll give me so I do get my information from
You're
people, but
informed.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't trust the media. I'm being fed things that I just don't think are accurate. It's too angry. I
Yeah.
have zero anger in my heart. So even the drug dealer that sold drugs to my son, I don't have any anger for that person in some, horrible way. He was providing for his family and he probably didn't know fentanyl was in the heroin. But if you're in that industry long enough, trust me, the industry will take care of you.
Yeah.
So the drug
It
dealer,
happens.
he's either in jail or he's dead. So
Right.
there's no successful drug dealers I've ever heard of. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
So
that's my day-to-day stuff.
I think that's amazing, and it sounds like you're, doing amazing projects. So tell us more about some of your projects. I know you have the Undeterred Project. It sounds like you're writing a lot.
Yeah.
So tell us more about, what you got going on, how you're inspiring others.
So the Living Undeterred Project was an idea I had again with my active mind. I just decided I needed to do something. So
Mhm.
I went up to about an hour north of here, bought a 34-foot fully loaded Hurricane Thor RV, went and got it fully wrapped, and I took my 2 boys and a documentary guy, drove around the United States for 20,000 miles the summer of 2022. That's our map back there. Called it
Wow.
the Living Undeterred US Tour.
Mhm.
And my dream was to raise $1 million, give it all to charity, and I met with 38 nonprofits in 35 states, but we didn't raise any money. We raised $35,000. I spent 300,000. Yeah, exactly. And this is like a hill I'm going to die on. I don't have any problem spending all my money to help people because that's what I want to do. And on the tour, and my youngest son or my middle son says, Jeff, you aren't living undeterred. You're living under a turd. That's what he called my tour. But even the tour, as financially disastrous it was and how
Mhm.
stressful it was, and I thought I
But
had
the
this big,
experience, oh,
yeah,
it must
and
have
my
been
documentary guy
amazing.
quit the first week because he couldn't keep up with
Oh,
me. And I don't mean that to be a narcissist. It's I just don't have an off button. And we just went. And I thought people would see the RV and Google and say, God, look at this guy. You know, man, I want to help him out. I want to donate to his just nothing. So I said, okay, fine. If that's not going to work, I'll go bigger. So I hired a team. I sold my investment company. I hired a team in DC to build this app because that's where kids are. They live on their phones and parents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the app is based on kind of the idea of financial planning, where we teach clients to build a financial plan, diversify their investments in, say, stocks, bonds, and real estate. But when we look at mental health, there's no plan. It's just a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Wait till little junior has a problem, take him to see a therapist, walk out with a bottle of Prozac. Wait till little junior's overweight, get him a gym membership. And it just never ends. It's insanity. Right. So we can introduce a whole generation of kids, 2.56 billion of humans on the earth are Gen Zers, to this idea of empowered mental wellness planning. And our asset classes are health, wealth, and purpose. So instead of stocks, bonds, and real estate, we're showing kids how they can invest in health, wealth, and purpose. Yeah. We launched in September of last year. We're in 14 countries. We've got about 1,000 thrivers using the app. I've raised very little money, just like most things in my life. I've just decided I'm going to do it myself. So most of this has been bootstrapped by me. We do have some investors. I will say we do have some good investors that have come in, but I haven't been out knocking on doors. I'm just knocking over doors. How's that?
Yeah. Sometimes it's what you got to do.
Yeah. I don't have patience to beg for people to help me. It's like, I got this thing going. You either on board, we'll change the world, or you can wave when I drive by. It's like,
so that's amazing. So can people download the app now? How can people support?
Yeah. It's just Brightn Wellness. So BRIGHTN.
Okay.
So, awesome. And Brightn, when my son died, when Seth died, 3 weeks after he died, his daughter was born. So I have a granddaughter who's now almost 8. Her name is Brightn.
Aww.
So I named this initiative My Life's Passion after my granddaughter. I took the O out. So it's BRIGHTN, and it's wellness, and it's free right now. But on 9/1, we're rolling out our membership agreement. So at that point, it won't be free. But the feedback I'm getting, kids love this way we're engaging it. We've gamified it with points.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just I'll be honest with you. I'm just pinching myself how fortunate I am to be in this position to give back. And I'm 58. Should I be retired? Yeah, but I'm never going to retire ever. My entire life will ever retire. And I think as a financial advisor, I should have been more adamant about teaching people to never retire, because that's a horrible word. It's a horrible idea. It's got the word tire in it. I'm tired. It's like, it's stupid. It's a dumb concept. And I think we ought to just take it off the table. And I think you should just work until you don't want to work anymore.
Right. Change the whole way that we even approach the idea of work and retirement and doing what you love. So it's amazing you were able to, find, I think, something really beautiful out of a really tragic situation. So anyone who's struggling, today, who's maybe listening to this podcast, who is drinking and gambling compulsively, what message might you say to that person?
You don't need to be fixed. We don't need to come in and save you. You're perfectly fine who you are. You're at the right place in your life. All these things are lessons. All these things are opportunities to learn from. You don't need to live backwards, live forwards. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering's a choice. So as much as you want to talk about how miserable your situation is, somebody has it worse than you, I guarantee it. And somebody has it worse than them. So it's perspective, it's respect, it's gratitude, and you're not a victim. I mean, I look at it this way. Seth died at 23. He could have died at 2. My wife died at 46. She could have died at 30. Things could have been worse. I got gifted a beautiful granddaughter out of this whole thing. I'm the luckiest person in the world. I have to think that way, because if not, I'm going to end up doing what I almost did 2 years ago.
Right.
I don't ever want to go back there. I'm not afraid of it, but I don't want to go back there. I was too comfortable dying. Yeah. And that's what scared me the most about being that close to death, was I was okay with it. I work hard every day. There's no day off for me, and that's that's my story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to work at it every day. And it's
Mhm.
not like and again, I guess we want to reframe that word work, right?
Yeah, it's not work. Yep.
We get that honor of being able to work on ourselves every day and
Yeah.
to have gratitude, and to change our perspectives. And I know that can be hard, in the moment, but I really love the perspective that you bring to the show. So this was a really powerful conversation. So thank you so much for joining me today. I was just, really blown away by your story and how you approach life. And so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, I'm honored to be on the show. And I'll be honest with you, I have to think that most people in my situation would be doing the same thing. I have that much faith in humanity. I don't think I'm anything special. I think I'm doing what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
everybody that was in the same situation I'm in, I'm assuming a lot of people would be doing bigger things than I'm doing.
Well, I think you're doing some pretty amazing things. So I'm excited to download the app. So anyone who's listening, please download the app. And if there's any other way that people, you want people to get in touch with you, just, let us know now. And
Our
then
website is www.brightnapp.com, and we have a merch line coming out. It's a mental health, mental wellness merch line with shirts and hoodies and sweats. And it's not Brightn marketing. It's more about the mental wellness industry. So we're excited about that. Our new upgrades with journaling and mood tracking, some really cool things are coming, but it's just an exciting time to be in this space.
It is an exciting time. Yeah, there's a lot of need, but there's a lot of purpose. There's a lot of people trying to help, and there's a lot of innovation. And I think that you're right at the cusp of all of that. And so very exciting times. Thank you so much for joining me today. And definitely, we will be around. We will definitely be in touch. And I'd love to have you back anytime.
I'd be honored. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. And have a great day, everyone. We'll see you every first and third Wednesday of the month live. And then join me on www.katierosewechter.com to catch all of the replays of our episodes. Thanks, everyone.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.